Hello, Elizabeth Monroy here with InfiniteHuman.com, and I want to talk to you a minute about Infinite Human, the concept, and the coaching that I do that I call Infinite Human. The concept, the word Infinite Human, came to me over 30 years ago when I was writing a paper for my master's in mental health counseling. And I'd always been a spiritual person. I've always had very unusual experiences and abilities and tried very much to fit in, but I couldn't. And I met my soulmate when I was in my 20s, and he was not a spiritual person. He was a doctor, very logical, pragmatic, man of science, and we fought every day constantly. But no matter how much we tried, we could not leave each other. There was this cosmic glue that bound us together. And we became very, very close and started on our own spiritual journey together, uncovering the multitudes of past lives we had together and traveling all over the world. We started it actually in Captiva, Florida, reading one of our first books, Siddhartha, and on to the Canary Islands, the mountaintops of Atlantis, where Peter had a Kundalini experience, awakening, which conflicted with everything medical he had ever learned. So he was a believer, and we spent most of our time back then, there was no internet, in metaphysical bookshops, scouring, reading everything we could get our hands on, everything from Eastern mysticism to Western mysticisms. We were learning all about it. And finally we met our spiritual teachers, who were master spiritual teachers, and they began talking about going home, transmutation. And it was actually the concept of the Infinite Human that brought me to them, because I wanted to write a book. And the person who was teaching the class said, "You have to meet my spiritual teachers." And they were the real deal. They were ascended masters, enlightened, infinite humans is the term I call it. So Peter and I started our journey of, I guess, ascension and service to the planet. We packed up our 3 dogs in a little camper and left our palatial dream home in Florida, and he left his practice, and we went west to start working with, our first stop was the Native Americans who had lost hope, who were very diseased. And we traveled all around working with poor Southern blacks in South Carolina, coal mining communities in Kentucky, Mexican migrant workers in California, Mormons in Idaho, and radiation victims in Guam. So we traveled the whole world over, and we wrote a book called The Pathway Home. Meanwhile, I was exploring myself as an artist, because I've always had a very creative side. My first degree was in theater, and I worked as a professional actress, and I also loved anything creative, art, and I finally realized I was a storyteller and a writer. So I've written 4 books. My first book was The Magical Mist, a children's book about empowering the creativity and imagination of children. And I gave creativity workshops all over the planet as we were traveling around. And I also began working with people. I began to start integrating my master's in mental health counseling and the background of my family. My father was a minister who did not believe in religion, and started a marriage and family therapy practice after spending a year in California during the 60s, where he worked with some of the great human potential movement leaders, such as Fritz Perls of Gestalt therapy, Virginia Satir of family therapy, Erik Erikson of transactional analysis, and we live with Sam Keen, who wrote A Passionate Life and Fire in the Belly, a bestseller. We lived underneath him, and that's when I began writing my first book. The Magical Mist. And I went on to write The Pathway Home with my husband, which was about creating a new model of healing that encompassed all four natures of the human: physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual. And the biggest loss of my life was when my husband passed away in 2005. I was devastated. I wanted to put a break on all of my spiritual growth. I wanted to return back to, well, actually, I just wanted to die. I just wanted to die. And I wanted to be with him. And I spent a lot of time sleeping, because in my dream world we were together, because we had become very close. We had sacred sexual alchemy, and worked with the Kundalini energy, which really sent us up into the higher vibrations of the upper chakras. And we, of course, telepathized, and we spent a lot of time together in our dreams, even when he was in the physical. So I did not really want to wake up, and I got addicted to sleeping pills and got really lost. And I had realized, actually, the truth is, when I first came to my spiritual teacher, it was a couple, they were twin souls, and I said, I remember my past life, and I committed suicide because Peter had been killed, and I took sleeping pills and drowned in a bathtub. So I asked her, I said, what do I have to do to break that karmic pattern? And she said, live. And I thought, live? Well, that's not hard. It was the hardest thing. So I woke up in a rehab unit, and I had to decide to live, because I had been slowly killing myself. And I did. I turned my life around slowly. I was also diagnosed bipolar, and I was on all kinds of heavy pharmaceuticals, and I got off of that. And while I was doing that, I was also back in the States. My father had passed away, my mother had dementia, so I was spending time with her. And I began to use more of my intuitive abilities, developing them and doing psychic readings for people, working with, I love storytelling, so I like to work with cards, oracle and tarot cards. It's been part of my story for many lifetimes. And learning a lot more about the esoteric knowledge, and working with people, just using my psychic abilities, my intuitive abilities as a medical intuit, as a medium, as a tarot coach, as a hypnotherapist, as a Reiki master. So I brought both the left and the right together, which is also what Peter and I were talking about in The Pathway Home, that traditional medicine or practices need to come together with alternative. So I created my own form of, I guess, coaching that works with people on all six of their natures: physical, mental, emotional, spiritual, and now financial and social. And I feel like I'm coming of age as the divine feminine is stepping out, and I think other women have had similar stories to me, perhaps you're one of them, that have had spiritual gifts and talents and abilities, and have done them kind of on the side, been on the sidelines or in the wings, waiting for the right moment to really embrace your gifts and talents, and to move out and to help what I call create a new earth, because this one is too broken to fix. Stop fixing it. So I think it's the time for people who have been doing this as a hobby, or doing it and giving and getting almost apologizing for their supernatural, phenomenal gifts and talents and uniqueness. It's time to embrace your uniqueness and really get out there and find your tribe and do some spiritual entrepreneurship, some authentic marketing from the heart and the soul, and find the right people. Because I came to the conclusion, after living all over the world, that the planet is really messed up. And it's not going to be fixed with a Band-Aid, which is what we've been doing for eons. And probably I've been doing, because we've worked with everyone on this planet, between my husband and myself. We need to really step out, own our power, and create a new earth. So I thought, okay, since half a century is behind me now, how do I really want to spend my energy? I've learned so many things. I've been a professional actress. I've had a film school in Florence, Italy. I've helped many people create unique and highly conscious films and art, and shown them at the Cannes Film Festival, and I've created the Florence International Film Festival, and I've done all kinds of amazing things. But I really want to focus my energy and make a difference, not just change the planet, because I'm Sagittarius. I shoot for the stars, so I want to create a new Earth. That's what it was coming to me. So I basically left Florence, closed my film school, took Kiki with me, my little pom, and moved here to Sicily, where I am now, with a wing and a prayer. And decided I'm not going to make money my first objective. I'm going to just, not focus on that. I'm going to focus on finding the right people, and it doesn't have to be a huge boatload of people. It has to be some key players. Five key players who are the keystones of this foundation for the new Earth. And I want to work with them. I want to spend a year with them, working with them. I want to do some online workshops, and then I want to create 2 retreats, which I have, amazing retreats, one in Florence. I was doing esoteric tours before I left Florence, and I've come here to Sicily, and I've created what I call Sacred Sicily Pilgrimage. So this augments the day-to-day, weekly assignments and works that we do in the Infinite Human Program. And if you feel like you're one of them, let me know. Ciao for now.